The brain is the only organ that named itself.
Interestingly
It was
put.
supposed to be Brian.
Well,
But someone's dyslexic.
Well,
The first one's dyslexic.
Yeah.
So
I'm Tyler,
I'm Charlie.
and this is Carl.
and this is Occasional Insight, episode 9, and today we are going to get philosophical. Do you believe that everything's predetermined? Your choices don't actually change the events that have been laid out since the establishment of the universe.
I think if that was true, I don't. So the assumption would be that if there's fate, that everything would be predetermined. Every conversation in your life, every single thing. I think it's more likely if fate is real.
Well, there's hard determinism and there's soft determinism. So, it's not,
I think if anything,
it's
there's
either
set
true
points.
or it's not. Yeah, exactly. There's a sliding scale to it. Like everything is predetermined from the dawn of time. There are key events that need to happen in X period of times, and despite what you do between X, Y, and Z, this is going to occur at this time regardless, and it needs to in order for. But again, those events are still predetermined from the dawn of time. And I hate those types of theories because that means that we don't have free will. That means we have the illusion of free will. It seems like what we do on a day-to-day basis actually has an impact on what's going to happen in the future.
That brings up an interesting point. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say the determinism thing. I think that in principle, yeah, you could predict the future if you had every single possible piece of information. In the same way that if you'd be able to predict it, you can, because right now you can technically predict the future. Like if somebody walks up to a cliff and jumps off the edge, you know they're going to fall. So that's just based on information you have. You know for a fact they're falling. So maybe if you had other information, you could predict it. However, I don't think that makes it so that your choice doesn't matter, because I think the more variables that you have to take into consider, the more chaos could happen. Like there's always a small choice. It's almost like a probability. Like, yeah, the person, if they go up to the cliff, yes, they're gonna fall. In terms of the choice to do that, there's a probability that they're going to actually jump. So I think it's to an extent. I think you can technically predict the future if you had all the information, but that doesn't mean that somebody changing their mind at some point could change the outcome.
Okay, so you're talking about probability, and if you had all of the math and all of the variables in the universe, then yes, in theory, you could predict what's going to happen for sure. But what I'm talking about is there is an event that has to happen. Like we'll say, I'm going to die tomorrow, and I have to die tomorrow. But regardless of what I do, I'm going to die tomorrow. It's going to happen. So it doesn't matter what I do for the next 12 to 14 hours. I will end up in that situation where I die. That means that I don't actually have free will. I have the illusion of free will. It appears to me that my choices matter, but regardless of what I choose, in 14 hours I'm going to die.
Now, by that same logic, well, the thing with it is that
but you defined it before you even, obviously you don't have free will there.
Well, no, but the thing is that none of us may have free will, because we could all die tomorrow if the Earth struck with an asteroid that started 14 million years ago from its trajectory point where it left. Do you know what I mean? It depends on.
Yeah.
But for you or I, in that specific example, we would have no choice. Nothing we do could change that. And that would determine to me that as of 14 million years ago, when that star exploded and launched that projectile, our entire fates are sacrosanct anyway. So it really doesn't matter. Now, it depends on how grand a scheme that you want to look at it. Do you know what I mean? Like, does that make any kind of sense? Like, I feel that there's extenuating circumstances or things like from the concept of like the Greek idea of thread, and there's three sisters that weave fate in a fucking golden lesson. No, I don't think that's the case.
Cher and I.
Right? No, but I mean like that level of like there being a fate that you can't. No matter what you do, your life trajectory is going to take the trajectory it is. If you're going to die a drunk and alone, you're going to be drunk and alone. It doesn't matter what happens, the highs or lows and peaks and valleys to get to that point. That's the way that your life's going to end because that's what's predetermined by fate to happen. I don't think that's the case. I don't like that idea. But that's because I don't like it. I don't know if it's actually true or not.
But did you mean, like, Tyler, did you mean like you're going to die tomorrow as in it's something that's only going to happen to you?
Yeah, I believe that's what he meant.
There's nothing.
What
like,
I'm talking about
you get on a different plane and the plane crashes, or like you get in a car instead and you get in a car accident. Like
the premise of Final Destination.
Yeah.
So what I'm talking about is basically everything that happens. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So everything that happens because it was predetermined by the events that led up to it. So when you think you are making a choice, you are not actually making that choice because this has happened, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. All of it led up to this point, which means, yes, you think you are making a choice, but you're actually doing it because all of these events have already happened. You exist because your parents met at this period of time. They had you.
I sadly do think that is our life.
Yeah, so it basically means that there is a formula for the way that, which is kind of like probability. There's a formula for the way that the universe is laid out. It's math. It's not fate or anything wishy-washy, as Carl would say. It is probability. It is this has happened, so this will happen over and over and over and over again from the dawn of time until the end of time. Which, yeah, sure, it makes perfect sense in my head, but I am completely against the idea because it means that anything that I consciously choose doesn't matter.
Well,
and that takes away agency from me. But it also very much so explains things like deja vu or premonitions, foresight, that kind of stuff. Because do you ever figure out the end of a movie just by watching the first 20 minutes?
Yeah.
More often than I'd like to admit.
I know exactly what you're saying.
You can reflect on the decisions that have been made up until this point and figure out, okay, this is the next logical step.
Make a very educated guess at how it's going to end.
And if our brains are actually as powerful as we are starting to believe they are, or starting to learn that they are, then fuck yeah, they can make those decisions. They can figure that out. And again, I'm doing what I told you guys not to do, and talking about my brain as if it's not part of it.
You're one of us!
That's like, well, Tyler, remember that dream you had, the recurring dream where someone was breaking into the house through that specific route?
Yeah.
That could be exactly like that. Like it's because you said it happened, but it could have just been, you're not that you predicted that it happened, but like you just recognized subconsciously that would, if anyone
that's
was
the most likely point of ingress if someone were to break into the house.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
I don't like like determinism. I don't like it.
Well,
but I love the math behind it because that means
you see it all the time.
So cool on so many levels.
But there's a lot of situations that is people who believe in psychics.
Mm-hmm.
They believe in someone's ability. And I'm not saying that I don't think that they have magical woohoo power that allows them to see the future. No. They have very, 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 very acute sense of reading people. That's all it is. But that same level of being able to look at somebody's body language, the way they speak, the way that their mannerisms in a short amount of time, and you're basically doing the movie thing. That's all they're doing. Like that's all a mentalist is just someone who's able to look at you, the way you act, the way you speak within a very short amount of time and determine a pretty accurate, for the most part, a very accurate determination of that person. Now, if that person's able to look at you, Tyler, and go, okay, from your accent, your dialect, your body language, you grew up here, you were here, you're from a broken home because of the way you speak in the third person about your father and blah, 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 whatever other things, like, right? If they're able to do that, in a way, they're kind of using woo-woo magic powers, right? Like, but I mean, that type of a thing, that the fact that someone could sit there and talk to one of us for 10 minutes and effectively tell us our life story to this point within relative accuracy kind of says to me that unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your point of view, that we are really just everything we do is just, we are the way we are, and we make the decisions that we make 100% just from a billion different bytes of information that we remember from now going back in time until from the time we're born.
Yeah. Like
so you're just everything that you do. So, and I think that also explains why it's so shocking when someone does something different. Like when somebody who's like, presumably has it all commits suicide. It's like, why? That's why it's so shocking, because it's like there's no reason for that.
Yep.
Or, when someone decides that, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm going to move into a fucking van down by the river and become a hermit. It's shocking because it's like, well, you were Bill fucking Gates and now you decided that you want to just fucking have nothing and live in a van. Why did you make that decision? It doesn't make sense. But those are the moments that are really, and I mean, again, if you knew that person's life history, it probably does make sense. That's the sad thing. They probably did do it for a reason. That would make perfect sense if you had the, accumulation of their entire life's history. It would make sense. That's it. So it's very, I don't
Or
think.
someone gets clean, someone's like a drunk and they quit drinking. You're like, holy shit, they actually did it.
But like, we like patterns, we like predictability. We don't like being blindsided, surprised, despite what some people might say. But
I don't like change either. I'm the prime example. There's TV series or video games and shit that I have intentionally not watched the last episode of. I have not finished the last boss because I don't want it to be over. Because I don't want to change. I've actually had that. Like, that was one of the biggest issues I had with the Doctor Who show. I love that show, but I hate when the Doctor dies because it changes and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Even though it's still the same TARDIS and there's still a companion and they're still going to go fight Daleks and everything else, I don't like it anyway. It's frightening and I don't like it. It's not really a spoiler for the Doctor Who fucking changing bodies, dude. That's been happening since the 70s.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
So I mean, I'm the same as you though, Tyler. I don't like the idea that everything is a.
But there's a lot of evidence to support it. Like,
I don't like it.
Personally,
I don't
never
have
had
to like
deja
it.
vu. But
I've had it 1,000 fucking times.
All right.
Maybe not 1,000. I don't know, but it's. I've had deja vu a lot.
Like,
I've
what
had
about
a lot of
decisions
scenarios.
that don't? I wonder sometimes, like, you know how, like, they say, oh, you go back in time, you move a table, it could change the whole trajectory. Sometimes I wonder if that would really happen. I wonder if there's a lot of stuff that could change day to day that wouldn't change much at all. Like if I like go out to eat somewhere else instead, or drive my car, get in an accident, whatever happens, I decide to quit smoking or whatever. I'm still gonna
Well, I
wake
think
up
an
at the
accident
same
would probably
time.
make a change.
Okay, well, maybe a
because it's a little more
My
dramatic.
point is,
but yeah,
something that happens within the day, I'm still waking up at 7:30 the next day.
but the difference is
So
that, but we're not. But the
like
fender
I'm
bender.
still gonna
So
meet, if I was meant to meet somebody or something, meet my future whatever, I'd still meet them. Like that's all I'm saying. I wonder sometimes if There's a lot of stuff you could change.
I don't know. It's very hard to say. I think the concept behind it is like the fender bender, for instance. That fender bender, your life and the life of your ancestors and children to come may not be affected, or very little. But that fender bender, maybe you got in a fender bender with a dude or a lady and their partner. Now that was the straw that broke the camel's back, and now that whole family fucking tree now 7 generations from now doesn't exist anymore, because that could have changed the trajectory of everything. And then that in and of itself, that marriage falling apart because that guy came home with a fender bender and you were drinking again and blah whatever. But I don't fuck. I'm just making shit up. But that could now mean that now their great grandson cured cancer.
Yeah.
And he doesn't live now because you changed that.
Right.
It's that's the whole butterfly effect. That like the principle behind it is like that butterfly wing breaks. Now that butterfly doesn't feed a frog. That frog dies, and now the it's more of a domino effect, I think, than anything else. Is the concept behind it is that any small change could deviate everything else to come afterwards. It's like a ripple in a pond.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's probably like it's more like water. Like you've got like big chunks of it moving, big streams, but individual parts can kind of do what they want.
Look at the
if
Grand
enough-
Canyon.
Which
The Grand Canyon was created by a fucking stream.
I
So
think Charlie's actually agreeing with you that it's like a soft determinism type thing, and there are set events that are large enough that despite small changes, the river will flow back to that point.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah. As good looking as you guys are, I'm still soft.
We've determined earlier that you're harder than ever.
Nope.
Stand up.
You said you have lots of deja vu.
I do. I don't anymore so much. I used to have it quite often. But a lot of the things were like conversations. I would have conversations with people, and in the middle of that conversation, I would be like, why are we talking about this again? And then the people that I'm talking to are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, we've had this exact conversation.
Somebody who has never experienced deja vu whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you feel like you're reliving?
Yes.
Like you've already done this?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, so for myself, like
feels like you have a memory of
almost,
been through this event.
Yes.
Okay. So it doesn't feel like you're stuck in, like, I'm picturing Groundhog Day.
No. So what happens whenever I've had it, it's I can actually probably make you I can give you an example or an idea that'll probably kind of give you how it feels. When you watch that movie and then you get when you figure out the ending of the movie by watching the first 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've figured out how it's going to end. Like you're pretty much like, I'm 99% sure that the brother did it. That's how this is going to end. Yeah. While you watch the rest of that movie, you're watching it with the like, I understand. Okay, they're still tracking towards what I'm doing. So you kind of have that moment of like realization, and then everything else that comes after, you kind of know what's coming. It might not be like, so whenever I've had deja vu, even inside of a conversation, like I would know or have a very strong expectation. Now maybe it's just I'm just
a mentalist. Good at reading people.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But like I would have those times where it's like, I know where this conversation's going. Or I would have times where it would almost be like I would be in the middle of the conversation. It's like, okay, I know the rest of this conversation. Like I've had this before. Everything to this point I remember it. Like it feels like I've done it before. So it's not like a vivid memory where I'm like, oh, you're going to scratch your nose in 3 seconds, and then you're going to.
Okay.
So it's not like a pure picture, but it's more of like a. It would be like if you've ever seen a movie and then you get halfway through and you realize, holy fuck, I saw this 20 years ago and I just totally forgot because I didn't. It's like that. It's like that. Like think of it like that. According to everyone around me or the people I'm talking to or the event or the thing that I'm doing, no one's experienced it before. It'd be like watching that movie 20 years down the road, but you're the only one who remembers the movie and everyone else is just completely fucking blank. It's gone.
Yeah, you're in a room with the same people that all watched the movie with you 20 years ago, but you're the only one that remembers that you watched it 20 years ago together.
yeah, it's kind of that's probably the best way, at least from my experiences. That's kind of the best way to because again, it's not like a vivid image of like I'm like, oh god, I know what's gonna happen next. Like I'm not I'm not in the Matrix. I'm not like I know kung fu. Like it's not like
That's
that.
kind of what I've always pictured with people talking about deja vu. Like, okay, what am I gonna say next then?
Right. Yeah. No.
And that's never happened. So, okay.
No,
Maybe I
so
just have
it's
a
more
skewed
of a
perspective
subtle.
on what deja vu is.
Potentially, or
I,
maybe I do. I don't know.
I've heard that it's just your brain registering something twice, and that's so it's not the whole. It's not like minutes of anything. It's just like the image. Let's say you walk into a room, that image, it just kind of your brain glitches, registers it twice. So one of them, like technically you did experience it before because your brain kind of like registered it twice. So
It's
you
like
actually have that sensation of like
a double
something.
input.
Yeah, it's like I've been this like something. This has happened. This is weird. It's weird. It can be weird. Sometimes it's really
I don't.
short.
I mean, I guess so. Like I'm just thinking because most of the times where I've had deja vu, it's not been about like seeing a room or walking into a location or seeing something.
Black cat
It's like
walking
a
past your house.
feeling. It's like a sensation
But for
that
me,
you've
it's
been there.
usually in a conversation. So most
Yeah.
of my deja vu, yeah. So it'll be like maybe it's just I'm really good friends with the same people and I read them like a book and I know where you're gonna say. No, but seriously, like maybe it's a mentalisty thing. Like I have had experiences where I've seen it's like I've seen that cat before. Or maybe I'm using it as an example, but like, but not usually. So that's why I'm saying I find that like the double input would be very difficult because that would mean that I've literally just zoned out for like 5 to 10 seconds and now I'm back, but yet still managed to keep track of the conversation to the point we're at now. Like that seems very odd.
Do you think it's possible that it's that's what deja vu is? It's just like your brain is constantly trying to calculate what's going to happen,
Yeah.
and occasionally it's fucking spot on.
That's
I
kind of
would
what I was
say
leaning
in
towards,
real
honestly.
actuality, probably yes.
It's kind of cool.
I like that theory. I like that because it makes sense. That would actually happen if your brain is doing that all the time.
Well, you're making a
Somebody
guesstimate.
test this and get it peer reviewed.
Well, if you're
It's
making a
occasionally going to be
guesstimate,
right.
well, and that's the
You're
thing
gonna
is
be right.
deja vu is not right all the time. You don't have a deja vu every moment of every
Yeah.
day. If you work in an industry, for instance, where you go to people's homes all the time, you're going to see there's only 18 layouts for a kitchen. There's a finite amount of kitchens out there. Probably a fuck ton more than 18, but
But yeah, for the most part.
well, no, but what I mean by that though is that like if you have a deja vu, so say you walk into someone's kitchen and you're like, huh, I've been here before. But if you work in an industry where you go to 100 different people's houses and you happen to have done 30 houses in that subdivision where they built the fucking kitchens exactly the same in every house, unless the customer paid for a different island,
That's
it could
different
just be
though,
you
isn't it?
expecting. Well, no, because you could walk into a kitchen or a room and be, I think I've been here before. That's deja vu in the same thing as, but again, that could be your brain going, well, I've been to 20 houses made by this developer. So chances are there's probably going to be an island right there, and a stove over there, and a fridge right there, and a cupboard over the sink right there. So you could be experiencing that from the aspect, like, again, by the same thing of in a conversation, your mind's trying to figure out where it's going to go before it gets there. Same thing if you walk into a room and experience deja vu in a place, it could be the same thing. It's just this is the one time this is the construct that you've made for what your brain thinks this house is going to look like when you walk in, and this is the one in a million times is right. Holy shit, they have corn curtains like in The Simpsons. God damn. Right? Like, if you think that every kitchen you walk into is going to look like The Simpsons, it won't because no one has pink fucking cupboards. But there is well, actually, I shouldn't say that. There is a possibility.
Many people have pink cupboards.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I will send you pictures of pink cupboards.
Okay, fair. What I'm saying though is that like if your mind is subconsciously thinking that every house you walk into is going to look like A, chances are one time it is going to look like A. And that's probably going to be a pretty deja vu moment for you because you're going to be like, holy shit, this is what I've thought every house should look like. This one actually looks like it.
I like that theory. I do. I like that. That was your theory. That's a good theory.
There are lots of everything I have ever read on determinism makes me think it is right. But I hate it so much.
Well, I mean, but
There's
it's
certain things we can't predict.
What?
That's why I like. Well, I don't know that whole chaos theory thing. That's like an actual like mathematical thing. It's like if you have slightly different starting conditions, it can change everything. And
Well, yeah, I agree
so
with
yeah,
that 100%.
I guess like you said, I'm a soft determinist. That makes sense to me. Like, yes, everything's kind of like gonna go a certain way,
but if
but
you
it doesn't
change something,
necessarily have to.
but
I
the
don't think
thing
it's
that
linear. I don't think it's like you. I don't think a butterfly flapping its wings will ever start a hurricane. Ever. I don't think that. I don't think that there's going to be like you move a chair and then it changes the whole trajectory. But like you said, Carl, it could change individuals' lives and stuff. Basically, like the same thing's going to happen unless there's a chance, there's a non-zero chance that one person making a random choice is going to change.
But see, if we're
everything or
talking about
trajectory
hard
of everything.
determinism, that one random person cannot make the choice that they are not supposed to make.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I think everyone has their own
it is
choice.
predetermined that this is what needs to happen because this is everything that has happened in order to make sure.
But they will make that choice.
So they will make the choice that the universe needs them to make in order to get to the next step to keep the formula correct.
Yeah, I just don't believe it.
It completely takes away free will, which means we're puppets, which is terrifying.
Well, I think it depends on your point of view. Agreed. I do think that it is terrifying, but your free will is still your own simply because every choice would be you would make that same choice whether you knew or you didn't know. And by saying the universe, see the thing with it is that what makes it frightening to me, but what makes
you have the illusion of free will.
Yeah, that's literally the illusion of free will. You are going to pick the same thing,
but you're still going to make that same choice. If I have every fucking bit of data and information, I can predict with one. And if I had that ability to know your emotional state and everything else, I would be able to make, or anyone or anything would be able to make 100% an accurate estimation, or I would know what you're going to do. That doesn't mean that you're, but that doesn't mean that you're not making the decision. It's just, see, I think what I'm looking at it is it's not frightening or frustrating because I don't think that there's a universe that's pulling the strings to make that happen. I'm just thinking that chemically, biologically, is the same reason why, like for myself personally, and I'm one of very few, I don't regret fucking anything I've ever done in my life. Because for the simple fact, I have made horrible choices and I've done terrible things. I've never killed anybody but I mean, like I've done in my own mind terrible things. Like I've made bad choices, but I've made bad choices because of hindsight. Because I can look back on it after going through it going, I made that choice because of blah, 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 blah. And I felt my emotional state was this. So that's why I made those choices. So I very much look at even the worst decisions that I've made in my life that have led me in a bad way or caused me financial hardships or emotional hardships or whatever else. But for the most part, and by the most part I mean all the time, I look back on my life and go, however, if I were in that position today with the exact same mindset without historically seeing it happen, and I made the choice that was, to me, the truest choice for me to make at that moment, I can't regret it. Because I would have made the same choice if all things were exactly the same, I wouldn't have made a different choice without being able to look back on it in perfect hindsight. So I made the best choice, or I made the choice to do the thing I wanted to do in that moment. So fuck it. I'm living with the consequences of that choice now. If I could go back in time with the knowledge I have now of where that would lead me, would I change things that I made then? Maybe. But I could never do that. I can never go back and know exactly where that choice will take me. So it wasn't the wrong choice to make at the time. It might turn out to be the wrong choice, air quotes, the wrong choice. But I can't regret that choice because I made the best choice I could make at that moment, or at least what I thought was the best choice to make at that moment. So why can I be fucking mad at myself for it?
You never lay awake at night struggling to fall asleep and your brain goes through all of the stupid shit and like the regrets that you have from
No.
Because like that shit keeps me from dreaming.
No. I genuinely, as I said, anytime that now to say that I've never had moments where I'm like, why the fuck did I do that? Why did I 10 years ago do that? That's a lie. That would be saying I cannot say indeterminately that I never have those moments. It's just fundamentally not true. But I literally explain it to myself as I just did to you. Now, I look at that moment and go, but you are looking at that with the power of hindsight. It's the same as a guy who bought stocks in Apple and then sold them when they were worth $10 a share. And then if he just waited 20 years, he'd be a bajillionaire. And then that dude's drinking himself to fucking death. And it's like, well, bro, you had no way to know. So why would you fucking ever let that? Yeah, was that a bad choice? Sure. In hindsight, knowing what you know now, yeah, it was terrible. But you didn't have hindsight at the time. So how the fuck was that a bad choice? Did you sell that and I sold my shares, made a couple grand and bought a fucking IROC and got laid. Okay, well, hey man, that was the best choice at the time, right? So fuck it. Don't worry about the fact that you could have bought a fucking country now if you kept the shares. Well, yeah, but you can't do that. You can't let those choices, because that's, again, maybe it's because I'm a hard determinist and who the fuck cares. I was going to make that choice anyway. I honestly never even thought about that until literally this conversation right now, like specifically of how I actually feel towards this idea. But I don't know. I don't have regrets. I don't regret shit because I can't fucking change it anyway. And realistically, most any of the decisions that you made in your life, if you were to think back on that decision, not with your brain today, knowing what you know now, not even just of the outcome of that situation, but if you think back to that time you made that dumb decision, at the time when you made that dumb decision, did you know it was a dumb decision? Probably. Deep down in your heart of hearts, you probably knew. But did you give a fuck? Or was whatever the outcome of that choice at that time, is that what you thought was going to be the best idea? Don't worry about what you thought about 20 years from now, because you didn't. You didn't think about 20 years from now when you were fucking 15 and made a stupid choice. You're thinking about today. Right? It's the same as right now. In any one of us right now could look back when we're 80 and look back to the decision we made yesterday and go, that was fucking stupid. The dumbest choice of my life. Everything could have been different if I just didn't do that. But again, you didn't know that was going to change the trajectory of your life. There's no way you could have known. So because you wanted to chase that pussy that one time, because you wanted to have that one extra drink before you left the bar, because you wanted to tell your best friend at the time to go fuck himself because you thought he was an idiot, and then something bad happened, or they did something stupid, or whatever. It's not your fault. You can't blame yourself, because chances are you probably didn't tell him he's a fucking idiot, because chances are at that time, maybe you were just fed up with his shit for the last fucking year and a half of whatever the fuck is going on, and you just said fuck it, and you blew up. You finally had enough. Okay, well, again, if you finally had enough at that moment, if you were in the same situation today, maybe you'd have a little more patience. But you can't fucking blame yourself for it. So fuck it. What's the point? And your life will be exponentially worse if you regret the things that you did or didn't do. when you didn't have the now. If I knowingly, like, I can't, like, thankfully I've never done anything that's that bad. If I knowingly did something fucking horrible, knowing full well what the outcome would be, and then I still did it, I may have regrets at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never done anything that terrible. I've fucking done some shit, I'm sure, that would probably, like, if I told you guys you'd judge me poorly, and I'm sure the same could be said for both of you towards us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Like, oh no, but I'm being serious. Like, but like, I highly doubt that any one of you has fucking lit a homeless person on fire. I highly doubt that any of you guys have raped someone to death
You did
or
those
raped
things?
anybody, period. No, but that's the point that I'm making, is that as long as, like, to me, there's certain choices and things in your life that you can't come back from and that will be a regret no matter what. I've never fucking murdered somebody for fun. I've never sexually assaulted anyone to think it would be cool. I've never.
Why would you add for fun?
Well, I don't know. Because okay, so let me preface this. I think there are times you could kill someone and not regret doing it. If someone broke into your house, yeah, it was self-defense. Someone harmed your wife or your kids, so that's why I said for fun, because that's what I think would be. I didn't mean literally for shits and giggles to have a laugh about it later. I meant like just because like I killed someone because I wanted to see what they look like when they died. That's probably a fucking bad idea.
Like that Johnny Cash song.
Yeah, exactly.
Killed a
That's
man and
what. Just to watch them die, buddy. That's actually exactly what I was thinking of when I said that.
Some people just want to watch the world burn.
Well, again, but that's luckily that's
Hindsight
never
is
been
a
me.
straight line.
Well, that's
Right
it,
now,
man.
it's a tree, possible decision tree. If you go hard with a crazy decision, one of the smaller twigs, then yeah, it's going to change a lot.
Well, but the tree analogy is the perfect way to think about it, dude. Is that think about your life as you go through the years of your life, the trunk just gets longer, just gets bigger. Because it's a straight fucking line from where you were born to when you were here.
no
So if you look back down, it's just a straight line.
It's
just a trunk of the tree. But if you look forward, it's branches and choices every fucking which way you go.
Right. Yeah. And like if you there's like a path you could take that's, you know, like some choices you make don't change much, but
some you do are a massive fucking a big branch and a whole new life off to the side. But it's what it is. But that's what I mean. So like, why do you have regret? Well, I think you do, Tyler, because you literally just said that you don't sleep.
Right. Yeah. It's not like
take my point of view. Just take my point of view, man.
Keeping up at night, but like, I don't know, you're laying there trying to fall asleep and like counting sheep and staring at the ceiling, and just like something stupid you did when you were 15 pops in your head, and you're like, wish I didn't do that. Like that kind of thing is what I'm talking about. And then once that one pops up there, you're like, oh, there's another one, another one.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, thinking about all this stupid shit you did when you were a kid that you can't change, but it's keeping you awake at night, and all you want to do is have a dream about flying, and you can't.
Fair. That's why you just don't do it, man. No, but I mean, there's going to be times in your life where you don't have a choice. Like you're gonna, because it's predetermined that you're gonna have those nights. Nothing you can do about it. All the choices and decisions in your life to this point, Tyler, have made you not be able to sleep tonight because you're thinking about that thing you did when you were an idiot when you were a kid. But what about you, Tyler or Charlie? Really quickly, man. Do you have regrets?
Regrets? Oh yeah.
I think you're abnormal, Carl.
I think I am. Oh, like I look at decisions and things I've done and stuff I've said and what I've done in my life to this point. And again, like I said, I've never done anything that's that irredeemable. I'm sure there's someone out there who can make an argument about how I'm the biggest piece of shit that's ever fucking walked the earth, and they have nothing good to say about me at all. I'm sure that person probably exists.
Like
sorry, not sorry.
The big stuff I have no regrets, but maybe certain little things I have regrets, but not the big stuff. Yeah. I love my kids. I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to change something that ends up without them.
Yeah, absolutely not. That's the greatest decision I have ever made in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anything that gets me to that point, I'm happy.
Hey, man. The other part of it is,
True.
dude, is that like think about.
True.
Well, don't
Brain
even think
dump.
about the shit that's. Don't even think about the bad stuff. Just sit back at your life today. Is it where you thought it would be? Probably not.
No.
But for the most part, is it a good life?
Yeah, it's great.
Well, fuck do you have to regret, man? No, but you know what I mean? Like.